All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, HaKadosh, double honors to the apostles and the elders of the great millstone, preaching salutations to the Akiyam and to the elect that are scattered throughout the four corners of this earth, pushing this truth and faith with sincerity. I'm the brother Shemala from the GMS Houston camp, and this lesson, they're going to be, centered around America, right? Babylon the Great, right? Because that's the code name for America in the scriptures. All right, it's not going to say America, all right, because if it said that, we wouldn't even have the scriptures to be prophesying with, all right, because that's a lot of people, they have a problem with that. They think that, the Bible is just supposed to speak plainly, all right? When the Lord gave these visions out, he was just supposed to speak plain and, just say everything literal. No, that ain't how the Lord wanted to get down. Things is written in code, right? In Proverbs and, parables, all of these things, right? That's how the Lord decided to do it, so everybody cannot understand it. That's why it takes the prophets to come out here and to, break these things down unto you. All right, so whether you believe it or not, that's on you. All right, but Babylon the Great is America, okay? So, like I said, the lesson is centered around Babylon the Great, America being turned right into a big desert, all right? And it will become the biggest desert, on the planet Earth, all right? For the crimes and the atrocities, right, that the Edomites have committed, right, on the planet, all right? The Lord has hate for them, all right? And for the whole race, all right? And it's justifiable, all right? Because when you look at his track record and things that he's done and things that he's done unto people, the things that he's done, to nations, right, and, to the planet, right, destroying the planet, and, it's justified for what's coming down, to happen unto him. All right. So yeah, like I said, this place is going to become, a great desert, a great wilderness, right? And it won't be no population, it won't be no people that's living on this land right after this take place. So I'm gonna get Jeremiah 50. I start at 12. It says, your mother shall be sore confounded, right? She that bear you. So like I got some little puppies pulling up on me right now. I guess they want me to check in. This Jeremiah 15:12 says, your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bear you shall be ashamed, right? And that's going into Great Britain, all right? Because this is how America, America was formed, out of them, right? You had the War of Independence, right? And you had the 13 colonies. All right, that's how America started out. All right, so when it says your mother, that's who it's talking about. Actually, she should be ashamed, because in the latter end, you're gonna have America's allies that's gonna turn, on them, right, and basically, aid in the destruction of this place, because this America is gonna do something, right, that's going to basically turn all his allies against them. All right. And they're going to take part in shooting missiles at this place. It's like it says in what is the book of Revelation, the 17th chapter, about, the beast, hating the whore. All right. The whore is talking about Babylon the Great. Okay. But it says, behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land in a desert, right? The hindermost of the nations is talking about this place, right? This landmass, right, of the United States. Okay? It's talking about a land that was on the uttermost part of the earth, right, from the east. Okay? Because that's where civilization started at. So the uttermost part, like Yahweh Shai told the disciples about, about prophesying the uttermost part of the earth, right? He's talking about over here. Okay, so this was the land that was being prophesied about here in Jeremiah 50. All right, it's not talking about actual, Babylon, ancient Babylon. All right, this is mystery Babylon, the virgin daughter of Babylon. But it says it shall become a wilderness, a dry land in the desert. All right, and just think about that. Just think about how big, right, this landmass is. All right, I believe it's like 3,000 miles, east to west, and 2,000 and north to south, something like that, right? But this is This is a gigantic, landmass that has over 300 million people, something like that, right? And it's gonna go from 300 million to zero, right? Because the elect, right, the ones whom the Lord has destined for salvation, they will be saved from this place, right? And they will not taste of the destruction to come. But everybody else gonna have to taste of that. Right? Anybody that's still on the shores of America will be burnt up by those nukes, right? Which will happen, right, in World War III, right? World War III will be the destruction of this place because they're not expecting that, the Lord to return, after that as well, okay? Or during the midst of that, all right? But it says, because of the wrath of Yahweh, right, Ba'ashem Yahweh shall not be inhabited, but shall be wholly desolate. Everyone that go by Babylon shall be astonished and hissed at all her plagues, right? So it's not going to be inhabited, right? Nobody's going to live here anymore. Nobody's going to be building anything, right? The Edomites not going to come back into power and build things. It's going to be a wrap for this place. So we in the last days, right? This so-called, great empire, right? This is that fourth beast. All right, that came back, right? That had that wound and was healed. All right, this is Rome reincarnated, right? That we living in right now, and we're seeing the last days of it. Okay, before the kingdom of Israel, right, is set up. It says, verse 14: "Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about. All ye that bend the bow, shoot at her. Spare no arrows, for she has sinned against Yahweh." All right, so with those arrows. Are talking about the missiles. So everybody that possessed those missiles, those nukes, right? It would be directed to this place. Right? It says, all ye that bend the bow. All right? Because America is the most hated. And it's just gonna keep getting worse and worse, right? As we get closer to the end. And the Lord is gonna have things pop off. Right? And people gonna pop off at this place. All right, and rightfully so. All right. It says it's going to be a wilderness in a dry land, right? This is Joel 2:1. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, right? Which we are blowing the trumpet, by basically prophesying, right? And teaching this word. And Zion represents the Israelites. Okay. To Zion, all right? Or the monument, right? Because a monument represents something. You look at it and it represents something and it means something. All right. So, the people are supposed to look at us and be remembered, right, of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai by the way we act, right, and by our conduct, right, and the order that we have as a people. Which says, "And sound an alarm in my holy mountain," right? And when you hear an alarm, an alarm is something, that's alerting you of a serious thing that's about to happen. Okay. It's like when you hear, like you set an alarm, you have an iPhone, you got the alarm, and it dun 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 dun, right? It don't sound like anything nice, right? When you hear things like that, or a fire alarm, or these particular things, right? It's to alert you of danger, something that's coming. That's what we are. That's what we are here doing. All right, because Jacob's trouble, is about to take place, right? And Esau's about to come down like the great, devil. Right, the serpent that he is. All right, and we are warning our people, before this happens. We say, "Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh cometh, for it is nigh at hand. A day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness." All right, so this is not going to be a great day. People are seeking for the return of the Lord and not really understanding what this day is going to, entail. Right, and what's going to happen on this day. And there's a lot of destruction, a lot of bloodshed, right? A lot of people, they don't know what they worshiping, right? They're worshiping, the other Jesus, all right, not the actual Messiah of the Bible, all right? They brought up in these different religions, and they Christianity, then you got, Catholic, right? All these particular things, right? And they all have a certain understanding of the Lord. It's not according to the scriptures and not according to, to the truth, right? So they're going to be caught off guard when all these things is happening. All right? They seeking the day of the Lord, but not knowing that, hey, that's destruction for them. All right. But it says, that the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong, there had not been ever the like, neither shall there be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. Right. It's just this great people and the strong. It's speaking on the missiles. All right. It's just the people that it's speaking about. It's not talking about an actual army. Right. Because when you read further down into Joel 2, it starts talking about how it shall fall upon the sword and shall not be wounded. All right. And what human do you know that can do that and not be hurt? All right, that's not what it's talking about. It's talking about missiles. Okay. But, after this time, it won't be no more missiles when the kingdom of heaven is set up. All right. All of that's going to be destroyed. All right. Pursuant to Isaiah, the 2nd chapter. All of these weapons and all of this shit that they got is going to be destroyed. All right. All of these missiles are going to be used in these times. All right. And anything else after that is going to be destroyed. All right. But says, I fire devoured before them. Right. Speaking on the missiles now. Right. I fired devoured before them, because before, when you're looking at the front of the missile, all right, it's the war. It's where the warheads dwell. Right. And that's the power of the missile. That's that fire. That's what's going to cause the destruction right there. All right. And said, behind them a flame burneth. All right. Because when you see these missiles getting shot in the air, all right, you see the fire behind it. Right. I believe it's the propeller system, or the traveling system that gets this missile from point A, to B. All right. And it's a trail of fire and smoke. All right. So that's what that's talking about. It says the land is the Garden of Eden, right? The Garden of Eden before them. All right. And what that means is it's a bunch of, grass, right? It's a bunch of trees, right? You see all of this, all of this land. There's greenery everywhere. All right. It's the Garden of Eden. Plants, right? Waters, rivers, all of that, right? It says the land is the Garden of Eden before them, meaning before they hit the target. All right. Before they do damage. This is what it looks like. This is what it appears to be. And behind them, right after it hits, right, behind them a desolate wilderness. So it's telling you the aftermath of the missiles hitting this place. It's going to be turned into a wilderness. This place is going to be wiped out. The whole landmass, nothing's going to be left of. The Lord ain't leaving nothing. All right. The Lord ain't leaving this man nothing. You see? But it says, yea, and nothing shall escape them. So ain't nothing going to be able to escape these missiles. The Lord's going to have designated targets, and they're going to hit their target. All right? Ain't nothing nobody going to be able to do to escape them. All right? You're gonna have the elites. They're gonna have their underground bunkers, and they're gonna have their mountain retreats, and the Lord's gonna allow them to, to basically not take part in it, and to, so-called, be safe for a moment. But then after that, the men of the Lord is gonna come grab them up, right? And they gotta go into captivity after that. All right. This is Jeremiah 15:39. It says, therefore the wild beasts of the desert with the wild beasts of the island shall dwell there, and the owl shall dwell therein, and it shall be no more inhabited forever, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. So it's telling you that you're going to have certain desert-like creatures that are able to survive in the aftermath, right? Of a nuclear, bomb or missiles hitting this place. Right, in the conditions that this land is going to be in, right? No human is going to be able to live over here, but only the animal that's able to thrive and survive in them conditions. All right, it's all that's going to be left over here. But it says, the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof, said Yahweh, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell therein. So as the Most High destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, this place will be destroyed the same. You had the fire and brimstone back then that rained down, right, and destroyed it. But now you got the fire and brimstone, right, in the form of missiles, right, in the form of nukes. The Lord allowed them to recreate this, by splitting the atom. He gave them the knowledge of this because Esau's blessing was the sword, right? Is the sword, all right? So he blessed this man with the knowledge to be able to create a weapon like this that can cause mass destruction, but literally, it's going to be, used to take him out. Revelation 18:1, and after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is becoming a habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, in the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. All right, going into the same thing that we just read in Jeremiah. Okay, about these desolate creatures, dwelling over here. All right. But it says Babylon the Great is fallen, So this is a prophecy telling you that Babylon is telling you that this place fell already. This is the aftermath. All right. This is going into after the destruction, right? Or going into the destruction, right? Because when you read in verse 17, Revelation 17, it speaks about, like I said, the beast hating the whore. And all these things happen, right? And then Revelation 18 is going to, after the destruction, the aftermath, the nations, mourning because they can't make any more money, right? Off of this place, this is what it's going to now. But it's already written that this place has failed. Okay, so all we got to do is just wait and be patient, right? And endure to the end. And these things are going to happen. All right, we're going to see our enemies be taken out of power. It says, for all the nations have drank of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, right? So these nations have got in bed with America, right? And cast off their ways to take hold on the ways of America, like in the form of democracy, right? Changing ways about their society, and Americanizing themselves. Just like you had the Hellenization period, the Greeks, Hellenizing everybody. It's the same thing now, right? These nations will leave off from their own ways and their own traditions and take hold of, America's ways. And a big, form of that is the political system of the democracy and voting people in and all of that. All right, that's the main thing. Christianity is a byproduct of all this stuff too. But democracy is one of the main things. Okay. But it says, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies, right? Because they make money off of America. They make money off of this place. All right. Lots of it, right? Because America is a consumer nation. So, they just doing all this spending and buying everything up from all these different countries, right? All these different deals and all of that, and they making money off of this place. All right. And it says, I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive, not of her plagues, right? And this is going to the deliverance of the elect. They come out of her is talking about being beamed up, right? In those chariots, which people call UFOs. All right. Those are the chariot of Israel and, the vehicles of delivery for the elect. Okay, and they're not going to take part in the plagues, right, which is going to be the nuclear destruction. They're not going to take part in all of that, right, because what? They did everything that they were supposed to do, had that faith in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, rehearsed the righteous acts, right, and do it until the very end. It says, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High had remembered, her iniquities. All right, so the sins of this place have reached unto heaven. All right, and the destruction of this place is on the Lord's mind, right? Hey, what it says that the Lord, it says vengeance, the day of vengeance is in His heart. So He wants to do this. He's waiting on the confirmation to come and return, right, and to fulfill all of this. Okay. So people always saying, God bless America, God bless the God. No, the blessing of the Most High, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, is not on this place. And it's clearly evident about what's happening, going on in this place, what's going on in the world. And Most High's blessing ain't on this place. All right, this place is cursed. all of the bloodshed, the innocent blood that's been spilled, right? You know, you got the Israelites in captivity. You know, this is the Most High chosen people that you got in captivity, right? And you think that this place is blessed by the way you treating the people, the way you treating the earth? Like, come on, bro. All right. But it said, reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works, and the cup which she had filled to her double, right? They're going to get a double punishment. And that's mainly going to come in the kingdom of heaven, all right? Because we're able to, you know, to amplify that punishment because of spiritual power, right? So not only is this place going to fall, and they're going to have to suffer that, but they're going straight into captivity, all right? But it says, how much she had glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she said in her heart, I said, a queen, I am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Right? So, you know, they basically don't believe that anything will happen to them. Or no power, superpower will take them down, like nobody, these different nations. Right? They know that the Yahweh Shah is going to come back. Right? And they gearing up to fight. That's why they got all these different technology and robots and all of these things that they're creating, right? Because they think they can actually stand a fucking chance. That's the pride in this man's heart, right? That's why, you know, let's say the pride in thine heart had deceived you, right? The Lord just playing with your mind, just like He did with Pharaoh and hardened his heart. All right, He making you think you got a chance, all right? But you're gonna get obliterated. It's already written. You better read, you know, 2 Ezra 13th chapter. All right, but it says, therefore shall a plague come in one day, death and mourning and famine, right? And she shall be utterly burnt with fire, for strong is the Lord God who judges her. So she's going to be burnt with fire, Babylon the Great. And that's what they're going to turn this place, you know, into a wilderness. All right. So hope you let some edifying. And with that, I'm going to say shalom.